Today, I want to give you a few ideas on how you can instantly improve and enhance your Zoom presentations, all for free. This video will be time-stamped, so if you're looking for something specific, feel free to scan ahead and find what you're looking for. Otherwise, let's get into it. Since my work went online last year, I've had a few Zoom meetings. Okay, I've had a ton of Zoom meetings. By the time I'm posting this video, I've been part of at least 300 calls on Zoom. I work in entertainment, so I wanted to find a way to make my Zoom shows as captivating and engaging as my live shows. Before I show you, do you tell everyone, when's your birthday?
November 6th.
November 6th, very good, very good. I spent a lot of time over the past year learning the ins and outs of Zoom and thought it might be helpful to share some of those tips with you. For each one of these ideas, I'm going to share some free techniques along with some gear that you might consider upgrading to, depending on what kind of online work you may be doing. Let's talk cameras. Obviously, since you're working on Zoom, you need to be seen, and you'll want your video to look good. A bad video feed can keep people from focusing on what you're trying to say. So let's find a few ways to improve it. I'm assuming most of you will be using the built-in webcam on your computer, or perhaps you have another option. Either way, you need to position that camera at eye level, so you're looking directly into it. If you need to use some books or boxes to get your computer into the right position, do it. Just get your camera in front of your eyes. I'm constantly surprised by how many people have their camera too low or too high. It makes for awkward viewing and can be very distracting. Also, you'll want to be close enough to the camera so you fill up most of the frame, with a little bit of room above your head. Don't sit too close, and definitely don't sit too far away. You want to find the sweet spot and stay there. Just by positioning the camera and yourself correctly, you've already dramatically improved your feed. So let's look at the settings in Zoom to make it even better. In the bottom left-hand corner of your Zoom window, you'll see a button that says Start Video. To the right of that button is an arrow. Click on that arrow, then click Video Settings for all of the video setting options. Underneath the section titled Camera, you'll want to make sure you have HD selected. This will instantly make your video quality better. There are also some additional settings below that might help you too. Touch Up My Appearance will improve your general look on video. Adjust for low light can help if you're in a dark environment, and so on. It's worth running a test call and playing with these options to find the best settings for your setup. Those are some of the best free ways to improve your video. If you do have a budget, I would recommend upgrading your camera to a decent webcam. The better your video quality, the more effective your presentations will be. Another way to improve your video quality is to improve your lighting. The key is to have your light source in front of you. If your calls are during the day, you can sit facing a window for bright natural light. If your calls are at night, put a light behind your camera. I'm using a studio light here, but it could just as easily be a lamp you already own. If you're facing a wall, you could bounce the light off the wall so it's not quite as harsh, or a lampshade would work well too. Remember, the brighter you are, the better your video quality will be, which will really help your Zoom presentation stand out. For the sake of completeness, I'm using an Aperture 120D as my main source of light. I can control it with a remote, and it has a great dome that helps to control the light and make my video a bit more dramatic. You don't have to go that overboard if you don't want to. There are plenty of inexpensive options such as a clamp light, a ring light, etc. I'll add some links in the description in case you're interested in upgrading your lighting too. Now that you've made some adjustment to your video and to your lighting, let's talk about your background. You want something that isn't distracting. So wherever you are, clean up your background and designate it as your permanent Zoom meeting location. Try to avoid sitting in front of bright windows or reflecting surfaces. Also, I prefer not to use the virtual background feature on Zoom. It just never looks that good. So try to find an actual background in your house or office that looks better. A simple trick for more depth is to shoot into a corner of the room. Or you could sit in front of a bookshelf or a wall that has interesting art or colors, and that will really enhance the shot without detracting from your overall message. I've been through a lot of setups this year, starting with various ones in front of a bookshelf, then in front of some curtains, and finally this one in front of this wooden wall. But you want to know a secret? This isn't a wood wall. It's actually a cheap vinyl backdrop I found on Amazon. But with the right lighting and some depth, I think it looks really good. It has a dark, mysterious look, and people constantly comment on how much they love the wood wall behind me. If only they knew it was just a shower curtain stuck in place with some push pins. By now your video is looking awesome, so let's fix the sound. If you have a headset or a good microphone, that's the way to go. If not, don't worry. There are some ways to improve what you do have. First off, make sure you're in a quiet room and your housemates know you're in a meeting and will stay quiet too. Obviously, make sure to turn off anything noisy around you that could interfere with your audio. Next, go into the Zoom audio settings and make sure you've enabled the suppress background noise option to the best option for your environment. I work in a studio space near other businesses, so I choose medium, but you may want to play with it to find what works best for you. Of course, there's some great options for microphones out there, and if you're going to be doing a lot of these calls, you might want to consider getting one. I personally feel that people are more likely to forgive bad video than bad audio. If your video quality is not so good, but I can still hear and understand what you're telling me, then at least I can get something out of it. For these YouTube videos, I like to record on this podcast microphone. For my Zoom shows, I choose to use this lavalier along with the Rode Wireless Go system. You could also use a pair of AirPods, an inexpensive clip-on mic, or even a USB mic, all of which are relatively affordable and easy to use. It can be challenging to engage people online, but it's not impossible. I've found several great ways to connect with people virtually, and here are some of my favorites. First, you want to try to make eye contact with your participants. So don't look down at the people on screen. You've got to look at your camera instead. It feels counterintuitive, but your viewers will feel as if you're looking directly at them. Recently, I upgraded to this cool teleprompter setup in front of me. I got the idea from Caleb over with DSLR video shooter, and it's been a game changer. It lets me have the zoom window directly in front of my camera so I can see my participants while also looking into the lens. You don't need a teleprompter to do this, of course. Before I went with this setup, I just had a post-it next to the webcam that reminded me where to look. Train yourself to stare into the lens and your participants will automatically feel more engaged. Also, a virtual presentation can feel very cold and kind of impersonal, so try to smile more than you think you need to. Smiling helps put people at ease and adds a touch of sincerity to your subject matter. I thought I was smiling enough until I got my teleprompter set up and realized I could be smiling way more. So I've been much more aware of how I'm coming across in these Zoom calls and trying to smile as much as possible. There's also a ton of other features on Zoom that can encourage interaction. You can have people reacting on screen. They can ask questions via the Q&A or comment in the chat window. There are polls and surveys, breakout rooms, and they can even raise their hand. Consider what elements of your presentation could utilize audience involvement and start incorporating those into your meetings. For me, I try not to let 5 minutes pass in my show without doing something that uses the entire audience. It might be as simple as having everyone raise a hand, but it goes a long way to making sure people are paying attention and feeling like they're an active part of the meeting and not just a passive attendee. Additionally, Zoom has other features that can make your meetings better. You can share documents, share your screen, you can play videos or music, and more. Find unique ways to share your subject matter so there's always something new for your participants to look at. Again, I try to change the visual element of my show every few minutes so people are constantly being engaged with something new. Finally, to make sure everything runs smoothly, make sure you have a strong internet connection. If possible, try to run Ethernet to your computer or sit as close to your router as you possibly can. And don't forget, close down any apps you aren't using while you're on Zoom so your computer will be running as fast as possible. There you go. That's 5 simple ways to enhance your Zoom presentations. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like or a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future videos. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have success with these tips for your Zoom meetings, I'd love to know that as well. That does it for this week's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.